Hello again. Today we're talking about the valve blocks, specifically the front valve block. The Range Rover Sport's air suspension system consists of a variety of components, and common failure points consist of typically the valve blocks, the compressor, the air springs, or leaks where the air lines connect to these components. The front valve block is located in front of the right front wheel. It's a combination of 3 computer-controlled solenoid valves, and these valves, when open, allow pressurized air to enter either the left spring or the right spring, or for the air to equalize between the springs. If the proximal system is depressurized, then opening the valves allows air to flow back to the compressor to be vented to the atmosphere, and the air springs will drop. Problems with the front valve block are typically isolated to the front axle. The most common finding is that the front end will drop when the car is left overnight. However, this is also a common finding when there is a leak at the air spring itself, and typically it's where the airline connects to the top of the air spring. The problem is, you really need to discern if it's the air springs leaking or the valve block before you start buying new parts. And so an important step to take before doing anything is to rule out the air springs as the cause. It's important to spray the front springs with soapy water and check for leaks before replacing the valve block. If you see bubbles forming around the air spring, you likely need a new air spring or connector O-ring. Leaks in the valve block typically won't cause bubbles, and this is because rather than the air leaking around the valve block, it leaks back to the compressor and gets vented through the air silencer. If you see bubbles on the valve block, it's likely a leaking connector or air is escaping from the solenoids. But overall, if you don't see bubbling around the air springs and you have a front end suspension issue, the cause is likely the front valve block. This video will walk through the steps to remove the valve block. I will also post a follow-up video on disassembly and reassembly, as well as cleaning the valve block at a future time. All parts and tools will be listed in the description, so let's get started. As usual, the first step will be to disconnect the battery, and this will prevent the vehicle from operating the air suspension while you are underneath the car and removing the components. The front valve block is located behind a plastic panel behind the front right wheel. While it may be possible to remove with the wheel in place, it's actually a lot easier to remove with the wheel removed. It's extremely important to put the entire front end up on jack stands on the left and right side. And this is because when you remove the valve block, the entire front end will become depressurized and the front suspension will drop down to the bump stops. Once the front end is secured, locate the panel to be removed. To access the valve block, first unscrew the 2 screws on the bottom of the panel. For me, it was actually necessary to put some traction on the plastic cover to get the screws to release, otherwise they were just spinning in place. Once the screws are removed, you can just peel back the plastic, and beneath the plastic is the valve block. The camera is pointing a little bit below where the valve block is actually sitting. Now you can pick up a 12mm wrench and start with removing the 3 air lines. To remove the lines, turn them just a few times until you start to hear air hissing out. This is the left, right, or compressor side system decompressing. Once you hear a hiss, step away from the vehicle and let it decompress until the hissing stops. This might take about 10 minutes. Repeat this step on all 3 lines. Once the air is out of the line, you can fully remove it with the 12mm wrench. Once the lines are removed, you can pull the valve block off of the frame. It's attached with 3 pegs that attach to 3 rubber grommets. Just pull the valve away from the frame to release it. Finally, you can remove the wire harness and this is done by pressing in on the tab and pulling the wire harness off. And that's it, you have successfully removed the valve block. At this stage, you can either replace it with a new one or attempt to refurbish it by cleaning the O-rings and solenoid seals. I will post a follow-up video soon regarding disassembly and reassembly if you are interested in attempting to clean the block rather than getting a new one, which will cost about $150 for a genuine part or $60 for an aftermarket part. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for tips, tricks, and repairs for Range Rover Sports and LR3s that can save you thousands over taking it to the dealer. I post videos about once a week, so stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching and have a good one.